October 24th through the 27th, the DC Improv. This week's episode, I drive to Niagara Falls with two buddies, Rob Mailloux at Rob Loves Arguing and Evan Desmarias at Evan Comedy. Please forgive me for the shitty audio. Go to Bertcast.com.
This is the Bertcast.
He's happy in comparison.
All right, now we're recording. Now this sounds much better.
All right,
Or
cool.
at least, well, you know what? At least we're trying. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
But we might as well do a podcast. So last night, I have a hard time hosting a fucking podcast. So I feel like I should tell people the backstory, but I don't remember much of last night. Last night, we were in Toronto right now. I'm in the car with Rob and Evan. Rob is they're both comics. They worked with me last night at the Underground, right?
Yeah. Yep. Underground Comedy Club. That's what we call it for the legal purposes. Like the front of the place is called Clandestiny, but
really?
we call it Underground Comedy Club in the back just because then when you promote it, in case it gets a little too well known, if people don't know it's a place you can smoke weed.
I was actually wondering about that. If like because you were like, yeah, I'll mention it tonight when I'm up with Jay Okerson, and then I said something on Twitter about going to Toronto, and people were like, Bert, where are you going in Toronto? And I was like, I was wondering if you were not promoting it.
Yeah.
For that exact reason.
Yeah. No, I mean, we it's gotten to a point now where we can promote it pretty heavily. I mean, like the exposure that Rogan gave it and stuff, it's kind of hard to even hide the place now. And cops don't really care.
Yeah.
Just weed people are a general paranoid people sometimes. So there can sometimes just be a level of paranoia around them that's like...
But just to make it clear, it's not a place that sells weed.
Yeah.
It's
allows you to smoke it.
It's a place where you're allowed to smoke
weed.
Basically, some place where the management says, hey, if they're smoking weed, don't bother them.
Yeah.
And boy,
the fine for smoking weed indoors is actually less than smoking cigarettes indoors.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Smoking cigarettes indoors now that they banned cigarettes is $5,000, but if you smoke weed, the only thing that you're getting charged for is like possession, which is like a $200 fine here.
Yeah.
Really?
So yeah, you're actually better off if it's weed than if it's cigarettes.
It was an amazing experience, and it was so funny. I know I told both of you this, but I'll say this again out loud one time. I said it a number of times on stage. I don't think I understood how much weed would be being smoked.
Yeah.
Like I completely was like, oh, they're allowed to smoke weed in there. It'll be, like someone will light a joint, like a concert. And I was like, that happens anyway at our shows.
Yeah, it's not
and then
Dave
fucking
Matthews.
Doug Benson was like, write a set list. You're gonna forget your material. I was like, oh, I'm not gonna smoke. And he was like, no, just being in that room, you're gonna be higher than you've ever been in your entire life. Then Ari told me that. Then Duncan told me that. And I was like, mother of God. So I went in so fucking nervous, but it wasn't that bad. I mean, it was.
Yeah, you can hold it together. It's not the worst. It's when you go up and smoke a bunch before you go up, thinking, oh, I got to get high on their level, and then you're getting so much extra high once you get up there.
Yeah.
Like what happened to Benson is that first of all, he's supposed to, he's the weed smoking champion. Benson walks into a room. Everyone wants to get Benson high.
Yeah.
So he just did everything. He ate weed. He did butter hits. He did, they were just like jamming every form of weed possible in his face.
Butter hits are I witnessed what those were last night.
Yeah, they're ridiculous.
That's
they're scary to watch them being done.
They really are scary. What do they feel? Have you ever done one?
Yeah, it's just anything that requires a blowtorch to get me high. It just feels like it's too much.
That's hilarious.
It's just too much. It's too much hassle to be like, oh, I got to carry this. Like that's when weed becomes too large a part of your life. When you have to carry around a blowtorch, like that's when things have gone too far.
Some of the people in that community just get excessive with it as well. There's one guy who works at another lounge who showed me a YouTube video of him hanging upside down on monkey bars doing 6 oil hits in a row.
Why?
I don't know.
That's when I think you've taken it past casual enjoyment.
It's the X Games of weed.
That's what I say sometimes when it bothers me a little bit is when it becomes like, that's all there is like I said is with the Ron Paul thing about when people are like, oh, I don't care that he hates abortions and stuff, he likes weed. And you're like, come on, stop it. There's other things. Most people like weed. Obama likes weed, he's just not doing a very good job about it.
So wait, so Benson came in and they were just loading him up?
Yeah. I mean, it's
he came in cocky.
Really?
He came in he went on stage. He said, "If you guys ever wanted to get me high, tonight's the night."
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Like, if it's ever been your dream to get me high, tonight's the night to do it. And then, but it's like, I wouldn't say he was cocky. He felt like he could.
He was confident.
He's confident. Exactly. He went in thinking, I can.
There was
handle
an
it.
air of arrogance with his presentation of challenge.
He knew.
He literally threw down a glove and was like, he threw down a pipe.
Yeah, and they returned in kind and
Really?
got the better of him. But he thinks that he ate something bad. He claimed that he had like food poisoning or something.
Oh,
but
really?
They're never, in the annals of history, they're never going to allow him to say that he ate something bad. Like that goes down as the night they got Doug Benson too high. There's no way that history will ever, it's like when Rome fell. You could find a bunch of different reasons, but they're not gonna. The history books will write it one way. No one's ever gonna go, oh yeah, the night that Doug ate bad clams.
So wait, the story is, the best is, it was like I sat down on the couch to pet the dog, and they're like, be careful, that's where we lost Benson.
Yeah, that's gonna be. He should have put his hands down and had them concrete his hands into the walls, just to show this is where we got Doug Benson too high.
No, wait, when did Joe come here?
Been here a couple times.
Yeah,
he comes in to do like theaters.
UFC, yeah. So the first time UFC came to Toronto, he did like Massey Hall. He does a big theater the night before.
Yeah.
But then the night before that, he'll come and do Clandestiny. So it's been great. And it's always like, that's the ones we really can't advertise, because if you advertised it, obviously, we'd have an insane amount of the amount of people that show up for it already is insane.
Yeah.
And because you kind of have to keep it in just people who know the club. We don't advertise it really. We might drop a hint on Twitter of and people expect it now. Like next time UFC comes here, people will expect Joe to be there at this point. It's just kind of people just know now. Yeah. So those are it's great when Joe shows up, but they're always some of the most stressful nights for me, because I started that room, in that location, doing the Thursday nights, and that's how Joe showed up the first time. But worrying that he's not going to show up makes the night so stressful of that he might just end up getting something, he has to do some shit, and then we have a room full of people expecting Joe Rogan. Like last time, the Iron Sheik showed up.
What?
Yeah, the Iron Sheik was in town and found out that Rogan was going to be there. So, yeah, they brought the Iron Sheik. The Iron Sheik hung out in the green room the entire time and hit on my wife.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
You're married?
Yeah. Yeah. You didn't meet my girl last night. But, yeah, he kept just hitting him. He was just sat in the green room. And then he came out. Actually, he worked out perfectly, because Joe was going to be pretty late. So we used the Iron Sheik to stall. But we sent the Iron Sheik out there for a bit to call everybody faggots, and then...
Sounds like his material.
Yeah. That's what he's known for. He called a bunch of people faggots, and then we sent him...
Was his manager with him?
Yeah.
His manager, I think, runs his Twitter, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because his manager, or Iron Sheik, was tweeting me for a while, and I was like, there's no way the Iron Sheik knows anything about me.
Yeah, I know his manager. It's they run it.
He seems like a nice guy.
Oh yeah, it's great. And, the Sheik. The nice thing is, at least he does it in the Sheik's voice. He's not saying stuff that the Sheik wouldn't say. You meet the Sheik, he is that guy. It's not like a crazy persona he's put on.
Hey guys, follow my manager. So wait, you said you were going to walk me through the history. Can you walk me through the history?
Yeah. So
let me just, for those, this room is kind of a little bit of it's got a little bit of comic legend, because you kind of, the only way to get into it is being referred by other comics, and Todd Glass, Rory Scovel, Jay Ogerson, Ari, Tom Segura. It's a really cool room, and everyone's like, you gotta do it, it's fucking fun as shit, you'll never have more fun. I couldn't understand why they were saying that, and then last night I got it, because there's no cuntiness. There's no, first of all, I think everyone smokes weed there, so everyone's got that positive attitude of no one's gonna go write a blog about what you said.
Yeah.
No one's gonna fucking tattletale. It's just
right away you can take away any even I run a lot of dark stuff, a lot of dark material, and I work with a lot of dark comics, and you never have to worry about that's going to be a problem there. like they'll accept not dark material. They're fine with it, but you never have to worry about bringing somebody there and them going like, I don't know, that was a little distasteful for my, you know, sensibilities. Like you can get away with pretty well anything you like there, except for, by the way, except for making fun of potheads. That's the only thing you can't get away with there. Making fun of potheads and talking about hurting animals. The only two things that you can't do there.
Really?
It's talk about hurting. It's a pothead thing. You talk about hurting animals and they turn on you. They fucking love animals. So even just a kind, you know, even a good story about accidentally hurting an animal, they'll turn on you in a fucking second in that room. So
wait, so what's the room is seats 89?
I mean, it's supposed to see 80, but, you know, when things get crazy, you can squeeze a little bit more in. But you can tell, even, like, the few extra people that might have been in there last night, it should stop at 80. Like, any little extra that gets in there, you can feel it immediately.
I mean, the entire place feels like a green room. So when, like, they're like, you want to hang out in the green room? I was like, I don't know which one that is.
It's the one with all the cans.
And it's got like, you walk in the front, and there's, like, looks like a shop front where they sell like cookies and popsicles and water and like just like little not trinkets really, and then there's the room, like a hallway that leads you into the performance room, and then behind that is a green room, correct? The green room only really gets used, like that's pretty rare. Usually we just stand in the hallway, but when it's packed like that, you'll use the green room just to give you a little extra space for things, and also to have that door open so that we get a little air ventilating through that place, because, like, you know, there stops being oxygen when it's that busy. Like, the oxygen, you're breathing just weed. Yeah. Like, at a certain point, there is no more air. Like,
during Rogan, they packed it in so much, there was probably 120 people in there.
Yeah, it got
people
crazy.
People were just sitting on the floor.
Yeah.
Really?
The first time especially, yeah. The second time, she tried to control it a little bit more and kind of closed it off, but the first time was, like, mayhem in that place.
Really?
They're hanging out the rafters, yeah. And it was just, I mean, because that was the first time. We had, like, Ari had, I think, been there before Joe because of Rouse. You know Jason Rouse?
No.
Oh, okay.
Wait, is he that really tattooed comedian?
With that grill.
Bald hair.
Bald hair.
He's got a grill?
He's got a grill. He, like, really... I think you're on the right path with a really tattooed comedian.
Okay.
He lives in Sweden a lot of the time, but he's Canadian. They did the Monsters of Comedy tour, him and Chris Neff and Tripoli and Ari.
I don't know.
Okay. Anyways, so they did the Monsters at Clandestiny. So Ari was there for that, and then I brought Kilstein there at one point, and those were like the first two, you know, guys that had kind of come from out of town and done it, and then. But Joe was like another level. You know,
I can't imagine Kilstein's act in there. Like, can anyone follow that? They're just like, go back again about liberal, huh? What?
yeah. And I remember him just taking 2 hits of a joint. Like, this is the most rebellious thing that fucking Kilstein's ever done. And his wife probably divorced him if she heard that. But yeah.
He doesn't smoke weed?
I don't think so.
Oh.
I don't think he does anything.
Oh yeah, he probably seems like that straight edge.
Yeah. I don't think there's much going on interesting.
Yeah. Okay. And so that's the room. Wow. I'm sorry. It was a long night last night. So explain. So give me the history of the room.
So like, because there is multiple weed rooms in the city. Like there's a few weed rooms that do that, and you can perform comedy. But this one, there was 2 hosts beforehand, but the room was always just like couches and. It was very small. We held maybe like 15 people, and they were just the regulars, and they'd fall asleep and stuff. And then one of the second hosts ended up leaving for like, she was gonna be gone for 6 months, so she asked me to host it for her while she was gone. And then, but like when I took it over, you just had to be strict with them. You got to start the show when you said you're gonna start the show. You know, I made sure we packed good comics on it. Like I tried to turn it into a thing. And it was like really quick to respond that like when it was a good show, people started showing up to it and like respecting the show. And it got to where, I mean, in like 4 months time probably from me taking it over, to that was like the best room. I mean, everybody.
Yeah, it was the Thursday night room.
Yeah, not even just, I think for a point it was the best room in the city. You know, aside from, you know, maybe clubs like the downtown Yucks or something.
Yeah.
It was like, it got so hot. It was, you know, 60, 80 people every Thursday. It was sold out, you know, pretty much entirely across the board. And
everybody would get a weed cookie for performing.
Yeah, everybody gets a little weed cookie. You know, it was like, no one was making tons of money by any means, but it was still a great, you know, I couldn't have asked anything better for I was headlining a weed show right before, another weed show, and then going to host that every Thursday, which is what made me like, I'll write a comedy. Like weed, if it wasn't for weed comedy in Canada, we'd have a real problem. In Toronto, like I'd say 40% of all the sets I do are at pot rooms.
Really?
Yeah, we have that much weed comedy, and it's what pays, because like the audience comes out for it. And the problem with weed comedy, which you have to, like in the weed rooms, which you have to overcome, is getting it to where, because a lot of times, like there's another club that's packed, but the problem with that club is a lot of times people are going to smoke weed, and then comedy happens.
Yeah.
Right? So the comedy is secondary to them. This is just a way of, you know, they go, it's a night out smoking weed instead of just being home smoking weed, but they don't give a shit about the comedy. What you had to do is force them to give a shit about the comedy first, and it was just a cool bonus that they could smoke weed. And then so that's what started to finally happen. And then the room expanded really quickly. Like they started from, you know, Thursday nights, they started doing a Saturday night show where Boyd, I don't know, I almost say his last name just because, I don't think he gives a shit. But Boyd would do mushrooms. That was his, like, every second Saturday he would do mushrooms.
Yeah.
That was like
the show on.
He would host a show on mushrooms. And so like that was the concept for that. And there was the Mary Janes of comedy was the other Saturdays, so there was an all girls show the other Saturdays, and they started getting busy. So then he expanded to like a more amateur open mic night on the Monday, and then there was like a music and like everything show on a Tuesday. Then he started running
podcast.
I think so.
Well,
Podcast?
yeah, I'm sure that podcast has to be the most used podcast name.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure there's 1,000 podcasts out there. But then it got to where there was like 5 nights a week there was comedy in the place.
Wow.
Yeah. The only problem was it expanded too fast, and it ended up cannibalizing the audience. You know,
Oversaturated it.
yeah, it was too much of the same thing across the board. Because like, yeah, mine was the pro-am night, but the same professionals were showing up to every show.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't. If it was a good room, it's a good room. The pros aren't going to not show up because you call it the amateur night. Like, they don't give a shit.
Right.
If there's a crowd, they're going to show up to it. So Monday, and it was the same as Tuesday, which was the same as Thursday, which was the same as Saturday. So the audience just showed up when they felt like it, and it kind of took a dip. So, you know, I walked away from it for a bit, and it kind of, you know, like it kind of went down for a little while. There was a period of about 8 months where the wheels kind of fell off the place, and it was Rogan coming back again that it was like, okay, UFC's back here. Rogan saved that place to a large extent, actually, because the wheels had fallen off for a while.
Well, all the shows stopped.
All the shows stopped because everyone stopped getting the same audience they were used to. So when Rogan came back, it was like, oh yeah, this is fun. And I think Joey kind of realized, all right, 3 nights a week, that's good enough. We don't need to do more than that.
Yeah.
Keep the quality high. You know, charge a good amount for shows. You don't need to do $5 shows. Like, put on professional shows all the time. And now, because of Joe, the guy, High on Trees guy on Twitter.
Which one was he? I talked to him.
No, he wasn't there last night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But the people that work with him were there. But see, he's taken, because whatever I did was a lot of times just like friendly relationships, or if I knew, like, you know, TJ Miller was in town, he came in once to do it, or when Big J was around, he came in to do it once. Like, it was a lot of like, when people were around, I'll get them to come do it. Like Todd, same thing, I'm friends with Todd, so like
Todd Glass,
so come do.
I would definitely pay $22.50 to go see Todd do fucking that room in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I would enjoy that so fucking much.
When he did it the first time,
favorite set I've ever seen.
One of the best sets. The first time there, all he did was make fun of this one light above, because there was a pool table in there at one point, which was that was a mistake. But he made fun of the light above the pool table, and this one guy who answered his cell phone, and he did probably 45 minutes, and I don't know if he got to a single joke besides just making fun of the entitlement of that guy to answer his cell phone.
Oh, they were telling me about that last night. He made himself a star in that room. That's what's the best part about that room. I mean, they're super supportive of Death Squad in general. So if you're Death Squad, you can walk into that place, and because of the podcast and everything, they got you there already. Yeah.
But if you can come, like what happened with Big J, is, you know, he comes and shows up during JFL 42 and just does a spot on the show with Ari, and once they see you, that's it. You don't need anything more. Like, same thing happened with Scoville. They saw Scoville, it was over.
Rory?
Yeah. You just need to see a person once.
Yeah.
So now, because of Joe has started bringing in guys. Like, he brought in Duncan for the whole weekend.
That's great.
He,
oh my God,
Segura for a whole weekend.
I'd pay for that too. Keep going. I'll tell you all the ones I've paid for. Well, I'm gonna shit on somebody. Pass.
No thanks. Yeah, and he's got Felipe Esparza, which I thought was a little off the radar, but we'll see.
He parties.
Does he? Okay.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, I've heard actually some crazy stories.
You know what? He's one of the more interesting dudes. From what I know, I don't know much about him. I know that he made me laugh my fucking dick off one night when I talked about this. Oddly enough, on like 2 podcasts ago, or no, the one that's up right now with Ralphie and Joey.
Okay.
I talk about watching him at Dublin's. That's the weird thing about a great room. A great room just shows up, and it's not perfect. It's not perfect, but for some reason, great comedy happens inside it.
Yeah.
Like, and there are great comedy clubs. Like the Irvine Improv is a great comedy club. It's just extremely user friendly. The Laugh Stop in Houston, amazing. It's gone now, but and it was weird. There was like 2 pillars in the middle of the room.
But I feel like it's a room that convinces you you're doing art. I feel like that's what was great about Clandestiny, was when you're doing it, you felt like, oh shit, I'm doing like art back here. Like, this isn't just like, people are paying money to see some stand-up or whatever. Like, we're doing something interesting in the back. I think that's what made it so, like, people bought into the whole thing. Like, the mystique of it. And I think that's what's still keeping it going to a degree, is that people buy into almost a family atmosphere there. That's why the Death Squad shit works so good there, is because they're making it like that. As far as they're concerned, that's like the hub of Death Squad. It's like, that's what they want to make them. And I don't mean they as in the business. I mean they as in the audience. You know, the people, they show up to every Death Squad thing wearing the shirts and stuff. Like, they're trying to make that. Well, they have a meetup group, but they're trying to make it.
It's so funny. Someone said to me, "Bert, you need to reply to Jill," and I knew exactly who she was talking about, and then I knew exactly who she was. And I was like, oh, yeah, what was that about? And she was like, oh, Jill was trying to reach out. Some of your dates aren't posted. And I was like, and Jill runs the, I guess, official Death Squad calendar.
Okay.
Of all the dudes that are, I guess, officially Death Squad.
Yeah.
And she runs calendar so you can find out where any of those guys are performing on any given weekend. It's really actually a fucking really cool idea. I met her in Seattle with her husband. She's really nice. Really nice.
By the way, I wanted to talk to you about. It's funny. I overheard the idea. I don't know if you know this, but when I first asked you about this, when you're on the phone with Ari, me and Ari were sharing a hotel room, and I was hearing him talk to you about the cruise thing.
Oh yeah,
it's a fucking genius idea.
Yeah,
that's such a great fucking idea, man.
Yeah, it could be really fucking fun. I'm moving forward with it. Much like I am with a lot of my projects. Like the vodka company that's fucking becoming a thorn in my ass. This fucking vodka company is such a fucking nightmare. I can't even express it to you. It's, but I'm moving forward with it. We're moving forward with it. I talked to a bunch of comics to kind of put feelers out on who would do it. Yeah. And everyone seems, there are a lot of people, and I kind of want to, like, it would be ideal if I haven't talked to Joe or Joey. I talked to Joey about it, but I haven't really talked to many people other than, like, the people that I kind of know would give me a yes. Yeah, it would be great to get a bigger name than myself to do it. Yeah. Obviously that's not hard, but, like, and then make it like a podcast during the day. Yeah. Like, make it like a comedy festival in a weird way.
Yeah, I think a floating comedy festival, when I thought of a floating comedy festival, it's like, how has that not even been done yet?
Yeah.
Like,
we were talking, I don't want to, like, lock down some ticket price, but, the number I was given for a 3-day cruise out of California was, like, $200 for a person, round trip. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, that's, like, the base price. Yeah. And then if you try to, like, just incorporate some sort of monetary compensation for the comedians and add that in, like a ticket price type thing, and then there's obviously that's the lowest grade room you could get, but if you do higher and higher, it could be a fucking great time. Better than that, for a comic, this is like these kind of, like, just talking about comedy, we love that more than anything. Yeah. So a bunch of comics on a fucking boat for a weekend,
absolutely,
we'd fucking love it.
Yeah.
That would be a great fucking thing.
I mean, I can't believe it hasn't been done yet, to be completely honest. Like,
I think they try. I want to say the alternative people tried to do one.
The alts, we call them.
The alternative. I don't know. I say alternative people. I don't know. I want to say Tig was in charge of it.
Okay.
Tig is definitely, in my opinion, a fantastic comedian, and she is an out of this world individual. I've always gotten along with her really well, and she's kind of a forward-thinking person. She's done a lot of things that I wish I could copy. Quite honestly, like she's a really enterprising comedian.
I wanted to make a joke so bad, I was going to leave it on the table. She did a lot of things that I've wanted to do so badly, like have breast cancer.
No, I definitely don't want breast cancer. But, Tig was, I think might have tried to do something like that, or I don't know. But yeah, so I'm going to try to move forward with it. I got my manager on it and my agent, because, you can't get it done. I can't just fucking call up a cruise ship. But I have a relationship with Carnival. We may do it out of California only because that would be easier to get all the comedians.
Yeah.
It would cut the price drastically. And you get a bunch of New York comics that are out in LA at that time.
Yeah, well, and the others, I mean, I gotta imagine, could you maybe even incorporate into your show to a degree to try to maybe get, I mean, I'm sure you've thought of something like that, but I mean, if you're on a travel network, you know what I mean? Like, it might work that way to do something.
I don't know. I'm sure any of the activities that go on that boat, Travel Channel would want no part of.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. I guess I'm not good at TV things.
So no, but yeah, that cruise. I got the ball rolling on it. I got the ball rolling on like 3 things that are like big things. See, can I tell you? This is what I really want the cruise to be. Like, I want it to be like this. We go out. I think we plan it for like next summer or beginning of next fall. Go out, do the cruise. Do it again the next year, and get it to a place where it's like in theory, everyone gets so big that Ari could do his own cruise.
Yeah.
I could do my own cruise. Tom Segura could do his own cruise. The sad thing is, every one of us would want to be on all those, and the money you can make on those things. Merchandise, podcast, share numbers, get Pete Holmes in. Pete Holmes is the biggest crossover on podcasts that I've ever done. You do his podcast, and it's it's Nerdist, but man, it's a different group of listeners. Like, it's not Death Squad.
Yeah.
Like, it's people that have never heard of you. Bert, first time I ever heard of you was on Pete's podcast. But yeah, that would be fun. Have you ever done comedy on a cruise?
No.
I've done it 3 times.
Okay.
All on like radio shows, and then once for Travel Channel. I murdered when we did it for Travel Channel.
Yeah.
My God, it was fucking. Oh my God.
It's fun. I mean, I guess once you get to your level, it's probably a little easier. Like, I've heard stories of doing comedy on cruises where it's like, well, then afterwards you're not allowed to socialize with anybody.
Oh no, I didn't do it for I wasn't like a hired. I just got to do it.
Okay.
Like I did. None of the rules applied to me.
Yeah.
I just got to do whatever. I told him, I said, I'm going to do whatever material I want, and I just fucking went up. And there was this black guy who booed this guy off stage, and this black guy was wearing a white suit, white shoes, white everything, and I go, "You got balls." Coming booing people on stage when you look like a human Sharpie, and the place went fucking nuts. It was a predominantly black audience. I love black. Do you get black audiences up here?
Was that racist for me to say that on a cruise? Like, I was shocked that black people were on a cruise?
No. It's not. It's not, because I think when people think cruises, you think old white people.
Yeah,
it's not. Steve, I want to say Steve Harvey does a cruise. What they're doing now, what cruise ships are doing, is they are catering to certain demographics.
Yeah, I mean, to do the Leonard Skinner and Rick Springfield cruise now.
There's Kid Rock is the one that gave me the idea. Kid Rock's cruise apparently is fucking bananas. Like, fucking, and he just comes out like twice, sings a song, does a meet and greet, hosts a tit contest, and it's like, done, son!
They have midget throwing contests and stuff.
Like, Steve Harvey has like a faith cruise.
Oh,
but think about how much fun that would be if you were into that shit.
You're right.
If you're like, all you just get is
singing
like
gospel songs.
Yeah, if you're into it. Oh my God.
Gospel could be fun as fuck.
And you get to meet Steve Harvey.
Yeah.
And sin and repent on that boat.
And I mean, the suits that you'd see on that fucking boat alone would be worth the trip.
Let me tell you something. I would go on that trip. Ralphie May told a story about, I think it was Ralphie, and he may not want me sharing this, but I don't care. I mean, it's a good story, and I think everyone's had these moments. I think Ralphie did I want to say it was like a Steve Harvey or one of the black morning shows. I wish I could remember the guy's name, but Ralphie.
Steve Harvey has a morning show?
Steve Harvey's got a radio show. It's the biggest radio show in the country.
Oh wow, okay. I'm
Yeah.
completely
Oh yeah, he's got
Family Feud?
no. He's got a morning show where he and my wife loves it.
really.
My wife, yeah, because I think a lot of my wife's Baptist, grew up Baptist. She's
okay.
kind of not anything, but that kind of hearing people talk on church, go speak on, brother,
Yeah,
that kind of shit
It's
makes
fun.
my wife comfortable.
I used to get a hand job from this girl who was Pentecostal, and I had a.
Pentecostal sounds like you'd worship the devil, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does sound a little fucking
Yeah.
evil. Well, we had a threesome, so I mean, she wasn't completely not evil. And her dad molested her a bunch, which she told me about in grade 10, which was so that came from a good family. All the super religious families I knew were just ultra fucked up.
Yeah.
We had a Romanian guy who lived with us for a year and a half because his dad was a Pentecostal preacher, and he was a Romanian guy. He had 9 siblings in his house, and things were just so fucked up at his place, and my parents literally took him in just because my parents were religious, and they even were like, this is too much religion, we gotta take this guy in for a bit. And he lived with us for a year and a half, and then eventually went back to his family. But they were just so fucking messed up. He was so damaged. One night he was late getting back, and my dad's a stern guy, but he's not like what his parents were.
Yeah.
And he was late for curfew one night, so instead of just being late for curfew, he calls my dad and tells him that he was kidnapped at gunpoint on the side of a highway.
Jesus Christ.
And then, so he gets home, for some reason not expecting my dad's going to call the police. He thought that my dad would handle this investigation internally. we don't need to bring the fuzz in on this one.
Your dad wakes up the entire family. Guys, we got a mission. we need to get you gloves back.
We all have coats we had to put on and hats and flashlights, and we head out to fucking
Grab the
to
GPS
town.
from the car.
so the cops show up, and the OPP, which is our state police, show up.
Other people's privates.
Yeah, other people's private police. Yeah. Well, that's what ended up happening because the cops show up and he starts lying to the cops because once you're in,
Yeah.
And the only reason he finally admitted the truth is because the cops told him that they were going to have to stick a tube in his ass to check for traces of semen. And then that's when he was like, all right,
I made this up.
which I'm sure that tube doesn't even exist.
I'm sure that's their thing on everything.
That's the lie detector test right there.
So it seems like you've been drinking. No, I can put a tube up here. Okay, yeah.
So, but yeah, so he was ultra fun. I mean, all of the families, both the girls, I had one threesome-ish thing in my life, and both the girls were ultra religious.
Really?
Yeah.
I've had one semi threesome. It was a nightmare. It was such a fucking nightmare.
Mine was a semi because it was a threesome without fucking. There was everything else but fucking.
Yeah, that's...
So it's what do you call it?
Wait, you butt fucked her?
No, yeah. Everything else but fucking.
Right now, that was an inside joke with me and one of my friends, is we did everything butt fuck. Butt fuck. Wait, we did everything butt fuck. And you're like, everything butt fuck? Everything never mind, my brain's not working right yet.
Yeah. What the fuck? Sorry, I don't remember how... Oh, Steve Harvey.
Oh, yeah.
How do we get the butt fucking? Oh, Steve Harvey.
So, yeah, the cruise, Steve Harvey does a cruise. But Ralphie did this cruise, and he went out. I forget. I just talked to one of the black comics that was on this, and they were telling me about it. And Ralphie went out, and they just started booing him right away. And he was like... And Ralphie, because it was an all-black cruise.
Yeah.
All-black cruise. And Ralphie was like...
Wait till they find out how much blacker Ralphie is than them.
No, apparently he's not, because they did not accept him.
Oh.
I might be mixing this story up with 2 other stories now, so don't hold me to this. But apparently it was bad. They booed him, and I've done cruises with Ralphie. My buddy Cowhead has a cruise. Ralphie and I've done a few times. And then they were booing him, and he made some joke about the Amistad. And they booed him. They booed him even more. And then, I think they pulled him off stage. And someone, I wish I could remember the black comic that was telling me about this. Why did I say black comic? Why can't I just say comic? Because I'm old school. Yeah. No, I
prefer African comedian.
No, I think any comic doesn't mind anything.
Yeah.
We're the most accepting. We're the least judging motherfuckers. So wait. the guy, I wish I could remember who it was, went out and was like, no, come on, fam. You gotta, we brought him out here because he's funny. Give him a shot. And then I guess they brought him back out and Ralphie wasn't done fucking making fun of these people. and Ralphie, I think Ralphie told me he stayed in his room the entire fucking trip.
What the fuck could you do? What a terrible situation to be floating bomb fest.
Yeah.
Like, they have to stay on a cruise ship.
God, I wish I could remember the comic that was telling me the story. My brain is, I think I might have Lyme disease.
You only have two options in that situation. You either stay on a boat with people who hate you because you bombed, or the headline is Ralphie May airlifted from cruise ship after terrible set.
He's had some bad experiences on cruise ship. He almost died on one.
What?
Yeah, my buddy Cowhead, he got pneumonia, and he was like, "Don't worry, I'll just battle through." And apparently, ended up in Mexico, and they were like, "We got to get him the fuck out of here." And then he literally was hanging on by a thread. But I think he changed his life around a lot after that, and he's doing, leaps and bounds healthier than at that time in his life.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna see him on Sunday. We're gonna go hang out and get barbecue.
He should come up here. I don't know. Obviously, I don't even know if he could do that room.
God.
But
Ralphie could definitely do that room.
yeah.
Oh my God.
Just set it up. No, he'd have to play a bigger place too if he wanted to come up.
Yeah, he would. He'd have to. I bet Ralphie would sell out a theater up here.
Yeah, for sure.
And then that's the weird thing. When do you think you go to theaters?
It's
I can
tough.
sell an 89 seat room really good. but fucking a theater is
is an intimidating
It's a
thing,
different plateau.
Because Ari's at the point now where if he had decided, okay, I'm not going to go do clandestiny at the time, the problem is that he always want to go do clan, and then that cuts out 80 people if he does one show that wouldn't go to the theater. But at this point, he can probably do a small theater in Toronto.
Like, how big is a small theater?
He could probably do 400 people, maybe 500 people now. Diaz, if he came, probably could get.
Do you realize what a fucking tsunami of fun it would be if Joey Diaz could do that room?
Yeah, it's funny. It's the funny. You guys mentioned in that last podcast. It's just too bad he had to kidnap a guy.
Yeah.
If he just didn't kidnap a guy.
Just one mistake you make when you're a kid.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it fucking... it's so funny. I never really cared about the idea of a felony. But then you start thinking, I travel a lot. If I committed a felony, which is easy sometimes.
Yeah.
You don't even know. Maybe a DUI where you hit someone and leave.
Well, and that story I told last night about the fight I got into was a couple months ago that he was there for.
Yeah.
It's it was just a fight. I'm used to, I came from a roughish city and stuff. I fought all the time. Not realizing now that I'm a comic, it's if I get into a fight and win or lose, if that guy hits his head, anything happens, I can't go to America anymore. And my career consists of fucking yuck-yucks the rest of my life. There's a lot of shit at stake.
What is the story about yuck-yucks?
Oh, God.
I realize that you work there sometimes.
No, I don't work there at all. I'm not even physically allowed in the building anymore.
Why?
All right, well, I can bring you to the history of this. So I signed at Yuck Yucks 2 years in. Mark Breslin is the owner of Yuck Yucks, who is if you've never met him, he's you know the movie 54? Not Martin, well, he looks like Martin Short. But you know the movie 54? Mike Myers?
Yeah.
He's Mike Myers from that movie.
Okay.
He's got a little velvet rope on a booth in the club that says reserved for Mark Breslin, and he's got he's 5'3", but he's got a 6'2" blonde model wife.
Really?
And he lives that weird stereotypical life. So he's run these clubs since the 70s, and they were the first comedy clubs that existed in Canada. They're some of the first comedy clubs at all, to be fair. He was in the game really, really early on. And he did a lot of smart stuff early on. When improv started expanding, and when To Catch a Rising Star started expanding in the States, to block them from coming into Canada, he trademarked the names improv and To Catch a Rising Star in Canada, and just to hold on to them so that they couldn't come in.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
That's a smart fucking dude.
Yeah, no, this guy...
Does he manage comics?
So the system of Yuck Yucks is...
Hold on, before we start the system of Yuck Yucks, how far are we away from Niagara Falls?
We got a bit still.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
all
we're
right,
good. We can get a full podcast in.
Okay,
and
good.
see the falls. We should end it by your reaction of seeing the falls, maybe.
Yeah, good call. Good call.
Yeah.
We are in Hamilton right now.
I hope the audio on this is semi-usable. Listen, guys, if you're not enjoying the audio, I apologize. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe listen to it in your car when you're driving to Niagara Falls, and feel like we're all together.
Right now, we're looking to the right. We're seeing Hamilton. There's a smokestack and flames shoot out of that thing.
Yeah,
really?
That's Steelco and DeFasco, which is the largest steel production companies for all of Eastern Canada.
Evan used to be a tour guide, so this is
Oh, that's right.
Like I used to do a tour to Niagara Falls.
from Toronto to Niagara Falls.
Really?
This is the route. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Well, please chime in, Evan, if you ever have anything interesting you want to tell me. So, Yuck Yucks.
So-
Mark Breslin, Abigail Breslin's father.
Abigail Breslin's dad. So the way the system works is that you got to sign with Yuck Yucks. Like when you do the amateur night on Tuesdays, then they eventually go, okay, we're gonna put you on Wednesdays, which is what just before being signed is when you're on Wednesdays, and then from Wednesdays, you showcase again there, and then they sign you. And when you're signed, now it's not legal because there's not a legal document you sign, because if it is, they could be charged with all sorts of stuff. Like, it's crazy illegal what they're doing.
Yeah.
But because they don't make you sign a legal document, they get away with it because nothing is actually legally binding you to this contract.
Yeah.
I got signed to this thing. They tell you right in the room, hey, look, this isn't legal. If a lawyer looks at this, they're going to laugh at it, so don't think it's legal. But basically, you're not allowed to play any other comedy club in a market with a Yuck Yucks, right? And anything you do outside of Yuck Yucks, you owe them a percentage. So they're now essentially your agent manager. The only problem is that there's 200 comedians and there's 10 clubs. There's not enough work for anybody, and they don't give a shit about your career, because the thing about Yuck Yucks is that the highest you're going to get paid is $300 a show at a club. So
$300 a show.
Yeah. So
My God.
there's no benefit for them to make you successful, because
That's fucking ridiculous. And I mean, look, they've got to have people that they bring in and get more than $300 a show, right?
So they've, in the last few years.
And I know anyone listening to that going, that's good money. It's not.
No,
It's
not
because I'm not saying that someone who makes, what is it? It would be $1,800 a week theoretically, or isn't making good money. What I'm saying is the club is making so much money off of that $1,800 that, like, a club will pull in on a good weekend. Let's just say on an average fucking weekend, the club will get $10,000 in ticket sales, paper out a room, and it will make a dickload on food and beverage. I know any of my friends that run clubs right now are going, Bert, we've had this conversation. It's not. They deserve to make the money off the food and beverage, because they put the money out to buy that food and beverage. And I'm not asking for a percentage of that, but what I'm saying is that is a lot of money to bring in a club when you're paying $1,800 for a guy who is bringing people there and basically murdering to get fucking people.
Yeah, and the ticket prices, I mean, are not cheap. Last night, to go see the show at Yuck Yucks would have cost as much as to go see you at an 80-seat venue, and we could afford to pay you, off of that show from the door at 80 seats.
Yeah.
And it's like Comedy Bar is another club. To me, the best club in the city, excluding Underground because it's a different situation, obviously.
Yeah.
But as far as just a comedy club, it's a 100-seat black box theater. It's the owner lets you keep the door. You pay for a sound guy. It's like $100 for a sound guy.
Yeah.
He keeps the food and the drink.
The sound last night was fantastic, by the way.
Yeah,
I wanted to say that.
Down. Yeah,
That's really fucking good sound. So you sign with Yuck Yucks.
So you sign with Yuck Yucks.
And then they say, all right, here's your work for the year, probably, right?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I mean, you get stuff thrown to you here and there, but I mean, a lot of the clubs are down to 2 nights a week, too. Like you're doing Friday, Saturday, maybe you're getting 3 shows out of the week. And they're so restrictive of what the major problem is. I mean, look, if there were just 10 comedy clubs, 11 comedy clubs, and they signed you and they worked you at those clubs, then that'd be a great situation. Yeah. But when you can't do anything else, you can't be advertising on another show without having to cut them in. That's when it becomes a huge problem.
That's really, even the Improv, and I say even the Improv, and those I work with the Improv and the Funny Bone, and they're my managers. Yeah. And I like Robert Hartman, who owns the majority of Improvs, and Levity Lives, and I think probably pieces of Funny Bones.
I didn't realize that Levity was...
Levity
it's
is...
funny how you find these things out later. I didn't realize that Levity was...
Levity is Improv. Robert Hartman owns the Improv, he owns Levity, and he owns a production company called Triage. And underneath that umbrella is and he owns another company called something. It's a marketing company.
Okay.
So he's an interesting fucking guy. I'd love to have him on the podcast. I could totally get him on the podcast. What the fuck are you talking about?
Have you listened to we'll get back to the Yuck Yuck thing in a second, but do you listen to the Barry Katz, Jay Moore Stories podcast?
No.
When he has Barry Katz on, I love listening to comics talk, but whenever I see Barry Katz has been on Jay Moore's podcast, I'm like, I'm gonna learn something about the industry that I didn't know. Apparently Barry's gonna have his own podcast
Yeah,
soon.
I heard about that.
But man, is he ever fucking interesting on Jay Moore's podcast. And the first one he did was like, I was riveted by that one. I've listened to it like 3 times.
Yeah, Barry
I'd
used
go
to be
back
my
and listen to
manager.
it. Well, I mean, you're a comedian who exists in the world, right?
No. Yeah. He's the guy that kind of discovered me.
Okay.
I was working at his door. I was working the door at the Boston Comedy Club, which is a club he owned.
Yeah.
And Barry was. I talked about Barry on with Joey and Ralphie, but Barry's a great guy. I have nothing bad to say about Barry. Even the fact that I left him, I have nothing bad to say about him. And he always has interesting industry insight.
Yeah, that's what
that can be sizzled in. That can be I could sizzle all of Barry's insight into like 5 sentences, but I won't. I'll let you listen to his podcast.
Yeah. It is. He's interesting to listen to.
Well, I would be interested to hear what his insights are now, because he's
for a degree, right?
He's at a different place in his life than he ever was, and he's experienced things on a level that not a lot of comedian managers have ever experienced, working with Dane, and I want to say I forget who else he's worked
Chappelle
with.
at one point.
Well, he discovers Chappelle.
Yeah.
He's a really interesting guy. He's a really fascinating guy, but that podcast is good. I'll listen to it.
Yeah, that'll be on my subscribe list.
Yeah. So let's go back to Yuck Yucks.
Well, also, I was curious. Why did he call it the Boston Comedy Club?
Because he was from Boston.
So, didn't he think that people would be pissed off about that in New York City? Like, didn't that seem like
That's
something
so funny. I never really thought of it that way. No, it's Boston comedy was really big in the 90s and 80s and 90s. And so the idea was that he was bringing these Boston comics down to work. And yeah, there was never really that kind of insight. I worked there for a couple of years, and I never heard anyone say, like, fuck Boston.
Fuck Boston.
Fuck Boston. That's a Boston accent.
Yeah, I don't know why people from Boston would go to New York and say
fuck Boston.
What happened to that club? Why did it close?
So I will give you the history of the Boston Comedy Club.
All right.
So Boston Comedy Club was, like, in the 90s, Barry bought it and was like, I think everyone that worked for Barry worked at that club, and they were basically it was a place where he was, like, discovering talent, and he discovered Dave Chappelle, and it was like, it was fucking murder. I mean, those rooms were packed. I mean, the lineups, I look back at the lineups, and it was like Dave Chappelle, Louis C.K., Bob Kelly, Jim Norton, Pete Corielli, D.C. Benny, fucking Jim Brewer. Like, it was literally like Dane Cook, fucking Gary Goldman, Godfrey Danshima, fucking oh God.
Did you just say Godfrey's last name?
Yeah.
That's what Godfrey's last name is?
Yes, Danshima.
All right.
Yeah, Godfrey. It's interesting. I didn't notice his last name.
I never knew his last name. Yeah.
I forget sometimes that people know these people that I've known for 15 years.
Yeah,
So, like, I forget that Godfrey is someone that you would know. In my head, I'm like, you forget that you're both out in the business working.
Yeah.
But, you know Louis C.K.'s last name is actually C.K., but it's spelled... He just
something completely Hungarian.
So yeah, it was like a murderous place, and then he kind of gave it. He had this company called New York Entertainment, and in New York, it was much like
Boston Comedy Club and New York Entertainment. All right, he loves cities.
Yeah, New York Entertainment was his management company, his production company, his booking company, and his comedy club. Much like Levity, it was the exact same business paradigm as Levity, identical, except on a much smaller scale.
Okay.
And Barry really had no interest in owning comedy clubs. I think his interest was making movies.
Yeah.
So Chappelle and them take off. Brewer, he's got everyone. He represented, like, he's had more clients go on Saturday Night Live than any fucking manager ever. He's got more development deals. They gave him a development deal at Disney where he could give development deals.
Well, he tells a really interesting on the last. It was like 2 Jay Moore stories ago, that he told a story about when he didn't have people in JFL one year. Like they didn't give, and none of his clients were Just for Laughs. So he went to the Comedy Nest and just booked the Comedy Nest for the whole weekend and put his clients up in the Comedy Nest, and then got all the industry to show up. He does a good story about it. That's talking exactly what you're talking about. It's worth going to the Jay Moore one and listening to it for sure.
Yeah, Barry's a really interesting dude. So then what happened was, ultimately Barry has this, this club. Let's be honest, it was a little bit of a shithole, because the room was papered all the time.
Okay.
Like on weekends, they would be sold out, but it was like 2 blocks away from the Comedy Cellar. The Comedy Cellar was kind of like the Paramount Club in the city.
Yeah. That's where
in that area.
Drop-ins from.
Well, it was the same drop-ins. If anyone was going downtown to do a set, they definitely hit both clubs. And most of the time, what they do, Patrice O'Neill was like a regular at the Boston because he was not really allowed at the Cellar. Yeah. So Patrice would just hang out outside the Boston and just talk shit outside the Boston or outside the Cellar, just either or. So, the club is like slamming. I get discovered. Frank Caliendo out of Wisconsin gets discovered, and Barry literally is like, I think at the time had already set up shop, but distinctly was like, if this business is going to work, I need to be living in LA. And so he set up shop in LA and went back and forth. And then he started taking his business and mainstreaming it, streamlining it, getting rid of all the excess fat. And everyone realized he's going to sell this company. Yeah. And so when he sold the company to New Wave Entertainment, and then New Wave Entertainment didn't want the booking side, nor did they want the comedy club. And so Barry just fucking liquidated them and sold the. This is a great story. Sold the booking side to Matt Frost for like pennies. Yeah. It was like, I don't fucking want you want to book comics? I got the comics. Yeah. You want to book comics? Good luck. And so let's just say let's say sold him to him for $20. That's not the right price. That's just putting on the street value. And Frosty was like, got a loan for $20 and was like, I'm buying this. And everyone was like, what the fuck's he doing? Frosty turned around, sold that exact same booking company to Paradigm for $100,000. Those are just respective numbers.
That's the ratio.
Yeah. It was, so there was a love loss between Frosty and Barry because of that. And then right as soon as he did that, Barry had Dane fire Frosty. That's the folklore of but anyway, and I know that mostly because I'm friends with Frosty. I've been friends with Frosty forever. He sold the Boston Comedy Club, and at the time, what you could do is you could bark. I started barking at the Boston in 98, 99. No, when I was 26, whenever the fuck that was. I started barking, and at the time, there was this one dude, Andrew, who would do it, but he wouldn't necessarily get stage time. He was just doing it for money, and I was like... And I think he got on stage a couple times, but he was so bad that everyone's like, well, he's not a comic. Yeah. So then my dad fucking had this seminal conversation with me when I was 26 about humility and being a man and what it takes to be a man and what it takes to succeed in business and how I was a piece of shit on my birthday. He was like, my birthday. He was like, you're a humiliation to me. I fucking went to court the other day and the judge asked me how your business was doing and I lied. I fucking lied about you. I said, you're doing great. You're doing horrible. You're doing shitty. You're fucking going out and you're drinking. Look, if you want to be a loser, be a fucking loser. Be a loser. I'll pay for it. I don't care. And I was like, holy shit, I thought you were going to say happy birthday. So
it would be better if you wrote it in the card.
Exactly. So literally I was just like, what do I do? Because I go, listen, I remember being like, there was a time where I was like, I can either say to him, like, get defensive and argue the point, or I can just try to fix my life and be like, what do I do? And I was like, what do I do? And he goes, it's too late. I fucked you up. You have no humility. And I was like, Dad, I can fix this. And he goes, I really don't think you can. I said, tell me the exact steps to fix this. And he goes, you're not going to like it. And I was like, tell me. And he goes, you need to go to that comedy club you go to, and you need to get a job there. And I was like, and I said to him, Dad, that's not going to work, because that is not how it worked back then. Yeah. You did not get jobs at the comedy clubs. It was in New York. There were comics, and there were people that worked at comedy clubs, but there was no crossover. Yeah. So I said, Dad, it's not going to work. And he goes, you said you'd do whatever the fuck I told you. He goes, you go to that club tomorrow. The guy booking it was a guy in London. I wonder if you know him, Louis Schaefer.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I got a funny story about Louis Schaefer after this.
There's a million funny stories about Louis Schaefer.
Oh, fuck.
So
that's
Louis
weird.
Schaefer was running the club, like, for all intents and purposes. He was deciding when comics went up. He didn't do the booking list, but like when he was hosting and he was working the door and he was setting the club up and he was like the face of the club kind of. So my dad goes, go to that guy Louis Schaefer and tell him exactly what I'm telling you right now. Say, you want a job? You'll do anything to get on stage. Your goal is to be a comedian, but anything that can get you to be a comedian, do that. So I went up to Louis Schaefer on my 26th birthday. I took myself out to eat. I had Thai food and I wrote a set of goals down, 26 goals for myself that night.
Nice.
And I went to Louis Schaefer, and one of them was to get on stage, become a real comedian. So I go to Louis Schaefer. I go, Louis, my name's Bert. I knew Louis. I hung out with him a lot. I go, I would love a chance at the end of the night to kind of pick your ear. And he was like, sure. So at the end of the night, we go down to the Baggett Inn, which is the bar underneath. And I go, I want to be a comedian, and I will do anything to get a job. I'm looking for your advice. I will get it. I will mop up. I will pick up drinks. I will do anything. And I go, I need your advice. I need advice to be a comedian. I'll do anything. And he said, move back to Tampa. He's like, move back to Tampa and learn how to do stand-up first. Because I'd only done it once. I did it once right after this Rolling Stone article came out, and I was awesome at it, I thought. And so I moved up to New York, and then I did one open mic with Dimitri Martin, and that was it. So he's like, you need to learn how to do stand-up. You don't know how to do stand-up. We can't just put people that have never done stand-up up. And I said, well, that's not an option. I already have an apartment up here. Can you please give me some other option? He goes, seriously? Move back to Tampa or go fuck yourself? And so I was like, all right. So I called my dad back the next day, almost defiant, called him the first thing in the morning. I talked to Louis, and I go, I told you that's not how it works. And my dad goes, all right, here's what you do. Go back to the club tonight and say the same thing to Louis. Pretend you never had the conversation with him yesterday. Say the exact same thing to him. And tell him at the end when he tells you to go fuck yourself that you'll be doing this every single night until he gives you an option other than go fuck yourself and move back to Tampa. And I was like, really? And he goes, go back with no ego. Go back very humble and say, like, apologetically, listen, I'm going to be doing this every single night. This is called persistence. And I want this, and I will do it. So I went back the next night, and I said the same thing. And Louis goes, didn't I tell you to go fuck yourself? I literally showed up at the club, and he was like, oh, you again? And I was like, I go, yeah. I go, Louis, I'll do anything. And I'm going to do this every single night until you give me an option that works for this goal I have. And he goes, all right, look, fine. This is on my 26th birthday, the day after. He goes, you stand out front with me, and you bark. And barking was humiliating. Humiliating. And he goes, you bark, and if you can bring in 20 people, I'll let you go up at the end of the night. And I was like, really? And he goes,
that's how Bringer shows started.
And so, and now, mind you, there's no, like, the concept of this is kind of, I mean, barking was done. People had seen people bark, but it wasn't like you couldn't bark and succeed. You could bark and be a loser. So, but I wasn't a loser. Like, I knew a lot of the guys, like, from hanging out. So I go, I bark, I bring up 20 people, and Karen Bergreen goes up on stage. There's 4 Puerto Rican guys that are in the front row, and they're fucking heckling like crazy. Karen Bergreen goes on stage, and they make her cry, and Louis comes running out the front door, literally looks at me, and he goes, you said you want to be a comedian? Now's your time. And so it wasn't even the end of the show. They bring me up, these 4 Puerto Rican guys laying on me, and I just go back to old frat boy mentality and light these motherfuckers on fire to the point where they're so embarrassed and humiliated, they get up and walk out. The crowd goes nuts, and I'm like, fuck yeah. And then Louis goes, you got a job. You can work here every night. You bring in, I'll give you, I want to say it gave me $25 a night, and $25 a night. And if you bring it, you got to bring in 20 people, and if you can go up either before or after Godfrey, usually before.
Yeah, that's
Godfrey.
The best.
Yeah, so
you don't want to follow 45 minutes.
Yeah, so I started working. I called my dad that next day. I go, I got a job, and I started doing stand up. 6 months later, Barry Katz saw me. The day after Barry Katz saw me, Will Smith saw me. The day after Will Smith's company, David Tochterman. The day after that, I met Will, and then I had a deal. I had a 6-figure deal. 6 months in, working the door, and just leapfrogged, and then moved out to LA. And it was like I was rich. I had a fucking 6-figure deal, living in a hotel, and I came back, and I still didn't know how to do stand up. And then Louis Schaefer asked me, because I was like the success story. And then I show up back, and there's 4 fucking kids barking. Because everyone's like, oh, if you bark, you can get a deal.
Oh, if you bark, Will Smith signs you.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, this is a way to get discovered. Barry Katz then started looking at the barkers as like, who's barking now? He loved telling that story. You go into a meeting and goes, this guy was working my door, the front of my door. Can you believe that? I got so much talent around me, I can't even help it. So, and then Lewis and I got pretty close and hung out, and I worked with him every single night. And then towards the end, he asked me if I wanted to go to Scotland with him, Patrice and Rich Voss, and we went to Scotland and did Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and that's how I became good friends. I'd always been friends with Patrice. That's how I became really friends with Patrice and Rich as well, because Rich and I played golf together, I think, once. Me, Ben Bailey, and Rich, and then But that's my Boston Comedy Club. So then I went back. Barry sold it. The guy who bought it was a guy named Wayne.
Rada?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I think Wayne bought it. I always thought it was Radar.
It makes sense. It's
Yeah, no. I always thought it was Radar because I wrote it down. Yeah, Wayne bought it, and then, I know the audio is horrible on this, people, but it'll get better. We'll talk louder.
Sorry, we're on unfinished pavement right now for some reason.
You're like, what happened?
I don't
Is
know
a dragon chasing them?
So, hold on. Louis Schaefer, so that's so funny, because I never actually met him.
So let me explain who Louis Schaefer is for those of you not listening. And I say this in this is the most beautiful thing about being a comic, is there are people like this that grow in and out of your life, that you share that experience with other people, and it almost brings you closer, like you guys went to high school together. So Louis Schaefer was a 40-some-odd-year-old man when I met him, who wore the exact same thing every single day. He wore jeans, loafers, a white button-down, a blue blazer, and glasses that were Prada-ish. So that was his joke. These glasses, Prada-ish. And and his whole joke was Louis Schaefer, not gay. Tasty black man in the front row, delicious chocolatey black man, not gay. Like, that was his joke, running joke. But he was really a smart fucking guy, and he was really funny. Like, he was genuinely funny to be around. Yeah. And there are some great Louis Schaefer, there we go.
Yeah, thank
there
God.
are some great Louis Schaefer.
I didn't think that was going to ever end.
There are some great Louis Schaefer, stories, especially because he used to do a lot of the black rooms. He didn't have a problem doing a black room, and he was just he didn't have a problem bombing. But then he took me and Patrice. He met this girl who was Ed Burns. I forget her name. I wish I could remember it. Ed Burns' manager, and they had a baby, and they got married, and then she moved, and Louis moved to London. And when Patrice and I and Rich went over there, Louis moved for good. Yeah. And he never came back. And I just got an email from him. He sent me an email or a tweet of a review of me, Patrice, and him at Edinburgh in 1999. And it's just these guys will never make it. They're the worst people ever. And it's so funny because I remember reading that review going, this might mean something. Yeah. Now you look back and it's one of the greatast comic voices of our generation. Yeah. And Patrice. So wait, tell me.
We're talking about Voss, right?
Oh yeah. I fucking love Rich Voss. So wait, tell me your Louis Schaefer story. So
there's this guy. He's kind of a famous-ish guy in London, Martin Besserman.
Okay.
Known for just when you go to London, I mean, I don't know if it was different when you went over, but a lot of times they have compares, which is their host.
Yeah, the host is the most talented of all the comedians, correct?
No, it's the exact opposite.
Oh, okay.
Now the comedy
That's funny. That's what some compares told me.
The Comedy Store might be different, but generally speaking, when you run a room, some of the hosts there are the most horrendous fucking comedians you've seen.
Yeah.
Not all of them. And here's the thing: I shouldn't say it like that. The hosts are hosts there.
Yeah.
They're not. Some of them don't do anything else other than the room that they run.
Yeah.
They just host that room. They don't do anything else, and their job is not to be a comic. When I host a show, I just got booked to host it, and all I do is try to get as quickly to my material as I possibly can.
Yeah.
These people have the host stuff. They do. That's just what England's like. So Martin Besserman hosts these gigs, and he is known for being, first of all, crazily misogynistic. All he does is just ask girls out after the show. He just books a bunch of girls on the show, and then just asks, and just comments on their attractiveness, and will let you know. He's just very autistic. He's clearly has a lot of odd in him. So he, me and my buddy from this Magnus Bettner from Sweden I was telling you about, who's kind of the stand-up of Sweden, is there. So he's selling the show, this Thursday night show that Martin Besserman runs. He's selling the show to the audience on it. This Canadian I heard is very good, and Magnus Bettner from Sweden, and Louis Schaefer is here tonight. So he sells the show on this. Me and Magnus go up, and like we were like, all right, let's get up early, get the fuck out of there. So we're done. Louis showing up later. So he's one of those guys where his introductions are like, he just doesn't know what he's got to be autistic. He doesn't know what to say.
Yeah.
Like his introduction for me was, I heard this Canadian is very good. We'll see about that. Like Rob Mailloux, and you're like, that's threatening. So he goes, well, that was right after me, because I was the other thing he was trying to sell the show on. He goes, oh, that was, give it another whatever. And he's like, we have remember, we still have Louis Schaefer on the show. He's like, Louis is quite interesting, I find. Last year, his wife left him, and he's quite bitter about it, which I find to be very interesting. Anyways, that's later, and it was like, that didn't sell the show at all.
His wife left him.
It was like there was no usually. Oh, sorry. He started off that sentence by going, now Louis wouldn't like me saying this. Usually when somebody says he doesn't want me to say this, it's like, Louis wouldn't want me to say this, but he's one of the finest usually there's a compliment that follows.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want me saying this.
Not
just
things.
His wife left him.
His dad died today.
He literally.
And it's affecting his comedy. So let's see if he can pull out of this one.
And then Louis, he doesn't even know. So the worst part is that he's not in the room. So he doesn't even know that this guy said this about him.
Oh, shit.
So now if he goes on stage and he's a little bit angry, the whole crowd's going to go, well, because your wife left you. And he's going to go, what the fuck?
If he mentions his wife, and like an old joke he says, so me and my wife went to have coffee, they're like, that didn't happen.
Yeah, what was the joke from 99? Yeah. So that's my Louis Schaefer story. I never actually met the guy. All I know is that his wife left him, and he's quite bitter about it.
The hardest I've ever seen Patrice O'Neill laugh is... there was in Scotland. I want to go back to Edinburgh, to be dead honest with you. You know what? I should reach out to Brett Vincent and tell him I want to go to Edinburgh. I wonder if I probably wouldn't sell any tickets. I think it's all about selling tickets out there, right?
Well, we'll talk about this after.
You have to.
I'm going to be in England for next year for 8 months, so if you ever wanted to come across,
I would fucking love. I got my buddies producing Mission Impossible 5 in London.
Oh, nice.
So I have a fucking place to crash, and he's one of my best friends. Yeah. So
Tom
right now
Cruise?
his name is Tom though. My buddy Tom is doing Mission Impossible 5.
It's funny, like I told you, you were staying in a hotel that Tom Cruise stays at when
God, that was a fucking nice hotel. Comics, if you're listening to this fucking room is the room you want to play. It's such a great room, so much fucking fun. Hold on, we're still talking about England. So Patrice O'Neill, we get this is such a look. I'm not proud of this story. So we each get a night. We're making money for this thing in Scotland. It's 27 nights in a row, I want to say, 24 nights in a row, and we're each getting money for that. And then booked Sharon was her name, I think, was Louis' ex-wife.
Okay,
I think so. I forget. And so she had booked us at Leighton Live. Leighton Live was... Yeah. Is it still?
It's still, yeah.
It's the hottest place to do comedy in Scotland. It is sold out. It is fucking maybe 400 or 500 people, standing room only. Everyone's standing. Everyone is silent. Everyone is drinking beer. And everyone is an awesome audience member.
Yeah.
Now, they're also British, and they do not... They're Scottish, but same thing, I think.
There's a lot of English people there. I mean, the comedy scene in London shuts down and goes to Scotland.
And so it is... there is, perceived things that they're thinking about Americans, but
definitely.
So they get me, Voss, Patrice, and Louis sets at Leighton Live. $700 is what we got to do it. It was really fucking good money.
Yeah.
And now
$700 or pounds?
£700.
Yeah, I mean that's yeah.
And so we get the money. We each get a night, and it goes Voss, Patrice, Louis, me. I did the last one.
Mm-hmm.
So Voss goes up and kind of bombs, but Voss never bombs. Even if he bombs, he doesn't bomb. Like, he didn't bomb, but he definitely you could see him working. He was definitely working for it. And we're like, wow. And we go out, we celebrate that night, and we hang out. That was the first time I met Russell Peters. And so me, Patrice, Patrice is the next one. He goes up, and Patrice actually kind of killed it a little bit. Like, he actually killed, and I think it helped sell tickets to our show because people saw Patrice and they were like, wow, we're going to go see him live. Next one is Louis Schaefer. Louis Schaefer takes a hot dick to the face so fucking quickly. So I'll never forget, me and Patrice are in the balcony, and we are watching this happen, and Louis comes out and he's like, hey, and he's got way too much energy. An audience can read nervous energy.
Yeah.
He's got way too much energy. He's like, hey, all right, Scotland. And then he tries to like connect by saying one of the local things, like, how are you cunts doing? and they're like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
You can feel it.
Yeah.
And so then he's like, I'm just so happy to be here. And it's so not his energy on stage. You can tell it's nervous energy that you hear someone like throw a boo, and everyone's like, and some guy says something, and then Louis attacks the guy too hard, like, well then fuck you in the face, like, or something real aggressive, and then they start changing, and Louis drops the mic and goes behind the drum set that's on stage and starts playing drums. And they're like, I mean, you can see these people start turning, and Patrice starts laughing harder than I've ever seen him laugh, because he's watching this happen, and Louis runs back and grabs the mic and tries to like take him over for 15 minutes. He bombed so hard that they lost it, and Patrice was laughing so hard, and I was laughing at parts, but then I was like, I felt bad for Louis. And at one point, I'll never forget this, we go backstage. No. We're standing. We're watching Louis, and now the lunatics are running the asylum, and they are fucking literally tearing him apart on stage like a fucking phone book, just page by page. And Patrice is laughing, and he looks at me dead serious, and he goes, "So, how about next Thursday I take your set for you?" And I was like almost like that Grease moment. I go, no, and he goes, do you want to take the chance that this is you? Or do you want me to just do it for $700? And I go, do it. I go, I can't fucking do this room. I go, this will fucking destroy my comedy ego. I've been doing comedy literally probably a year and 6 months at the time. There was no way I could have done it. And so Patrice took my night and got the $700 and then bought me dinner. He was like, yeah. He goes, you don't want any part of this. We went backstage. Me and Patrice. I want to say Voss was there too. And Voss might have been backstage the whole time. And Louis comes off stage and we're sitting backstage, and he's panting and he's sweating. And he goes, I'll never forget, he looks at Patrice and he goes, that didn't go so bad, right? And Patrice lost it laughing. Yeah.
Fuck. Anytime you have to play the drums.
Oh.
Yeah, that's not a good sign.
Louis is an interesting dude. He looks so different now. Louis will fucking get so excited that we're talking about him.
You know, well, I was going to say, you mentioned like how there's those people in comedy that connect everybody. And I don't know if you have anything on this, but I actually want to do a podcast called The Rick Shapiro Podcast.
Called what?
The Rick Shapiro Podcast, where Rick is never on the podcast. It's just comedians telling stories about Rick Shapiro, because I feel like have you ever met him?
Of course. Oh yeah. He used to come to the Boston Comedy Club in leather pants and a fur vest, and just stand outside and talk about how they used to get drugs from rich yuppie guys down at the clubs, him and his chick. And I was like, I remember there was a guy, Josh. Fuck. I'm so sorry, Josh. Fuck. I just saw him recently.
I'm almost convinced the guy's name is Josh Fuck at this point.
No, Josh. And Josh was like a very hardcore, edgy, party, ecstasy, cocaine kind of dude. And Josh would tell me, Rick's a genius. And I was like, oh, really? And then he went on stage one night, and I was like, I don't see it. It seems like all over the map. And he goes, no, you haven't been doing comedy long enough to get it. It's fucking great. It's brilliant to watch. But yeah, Rick Shapiro is an interesting fucking dude.
Here's the thing with Rick, like, when you're in conversation, because I did 2 weeks with him, like, on the road when I was with Yuck Yuck still. Because Yucks used to book him, and we can bring this back around to Yuck Yucks right after. It'll work out perfectly. I'm telling you how to run your podcast now.
Please, someone needs to. Wait, are we close to Niagara Falls?
Yeah. So I'll wrap. Really? I'll tell a Rick story, and then we can talk about Yucks quick, and then we're going to see the falls.
I'm afraid the drug dogs are going to stop us just from our clothes
sweat
that we packed. Just because I was wondering if my clothes smelled like marijuana this morning.
Yeah.
Okay, so keep going.
So Rick is one of those guys where you can see his brilliance in conversation, I find, more than anything. Like, I remember him telling me about how he hates doors and how doors are the anti-truth. And on the surface, you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? But then when he explains it, it's like, if you think about it, when you come through a door, it's the most disingenuous moment of your entire life. It's like when you walk on stage, that first second of like, what the fuck do you do? You know, hey, that's not you.
Yeah.
That's not you at all. So the whole point was like, when you're walking through a door and the expectation of going into a room with all these new people is the most dishonest moment that you live. So it's like him explaining, if he just said the doors are the anti-truth, like he thinks that everyone gets that on stage.
Yeah.
But when you're in conversation with him and you have time to actually extrapolate what he's saying, that's when you're like, oh fuck, that guy's totally right.
It's like, you know what he reminds me of, and I use this guy as an example. Do you know Howard Kremer?
Yeah.
Howard Kremer is, in my opinion, so fucking funny because he does the same thing. He allows you to do the math in your head, and if you can do it in your head sometimes, you really feel like you got the joke.
Yeah.
I remember he had a joke about, he was like, it was during the, do you remember Pat O'Brien? I think his name Pat O'Brien.
Yeah, from
Entertainment Tonight or something, and he was like left those sex tape
Yeah.
calls.
Yeah.
And he went up, and everyone was doing an impression of it, but they were, really leading into what the impression was at the time, not on the show, but at the time.
Yeah.
And he said, and he just went up and just started doing the impression of like, oh, you're so fucking hot. People didn't understand who he was doing this impression of. He was like, oh, you're so fucking hot. I want to kill Ahmad Rashad. And I started laughing so hard. But people didn't get what, like he was forcing them to do the work in their head.
Yeah.
So are we still in Canada right now?
Yeah.
Nice. Bridge to U.S. on the left. Will we see Niagara Falls from
We're gonna
Canada?
go right first. Yeah. It's better to see it from Canada than the U.S. We have the
Really?
better side. Yeah.
Oh, I wonder if we ever tried to take that back.
I mean, at one point you will.
Okay, give us some facts about Niagara Falls.
Okay, well, I gotta do some facts when we see the falls.
Okay.
Rick, one night, this is the most genius I've ever seen Rick, in Montreal. We're doing a show in Montreal, and he does an hour, and he connected with these people. He does this music bit at the end where he's hitchhiking away from his dad.
My dad loved him.
They were standing for this bit. I've never seen it so obviously been the closer. There's music in the bit. They're standing and applauding. I'm hosting. I'm standing next to the stage. I'm like, this was beautiful. This is perfect. He does another half an hour of bombing.
Are you fucking serious?
You're like, you had it. It was perfect.
What were you
It was
doing?
an hour. The show, like, they wanted us to wrap up the venue. Like, everything was said is done. We could have lit the place on fire and walked out. And he does a half an hour afterwards of just eating his balls. But Yuck Yucks used to book him because they will bring in Americans as artistically important. Like, they brought Doug back. They brought Stanhope in back in the day as artistically important.
What do you mean? Are Americans not allowed to work there because
they mostly just book Canadians because, first of all, we'll take the shit money, and then you also don't have to pay travel or anything, right?
Yeah.
So they would book Rick as artistically important, they book Stanhope, whatever, but they had to stop because Rick walked too many people last time. But so anyways, yes, I don't know what else to say about it. I feel like every podcast I'm ever going to do for the rest of my life, I'm the shitting on Yucks guy. Basically, Maria Bamford.
Speaking of which, we just drove by Yuck Yucks.
Are you serious?
Yeah, there's a Yuck Yucks.
Where's Yuck Yucks?
The sign was back there.
Yeah, there's one in the
right.
the Casino Niagara, the scummy casino here.
Oh, there's casinos here?
Yeah. That's a casino.
Is that a water park?
Maybe. This whole town is like some sort of terrifying amusement
Vegas.
park. Yeah. It's just like a shitty scumbag town. Really.
Be honest. Do you think this town would be as important if Niagara Falls wasn't here?
Oh no!
I'm joking. I'm joking. Like, do you think this is all based on location?
Yeah. It's just Atlantic City with a waterfall. And
This is fucking...
no Donald Trump.
Oh, is that a Mountie? Oh, that's a statue of a Mountie.
I was gonna say no, it's a huge black lady.
Do you want to go be a Mountie?
No.
Anyways, I'm not physically allowed in Yuck Yucks anymore. Is the moral of the story. I was
Bamford
working with
thing,
Maria
probably.
Bamford, and I told her basically these same things about what is this lady
This is
wearing?
amazing.
This is not going to work out good for the podcast visually, but
Yeah.
that's weird.
She's just...
Adjusting her leggings.
It was these odd leggings and wearing like a pirate hat thing.
She looks like Steve, like Joe Perry, like Steven Tyler.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was
Joe Pesci.
Joe Pesci.
I was working with Bamford, and I told her how Yucks works, and she went on CBC Radio and told everybody that didn't need to rise up against the evil Mark Breslin and Yuck Yucks.
Ah!
And then so I
Sorry,
was.
but this is to your left.
What?
The falls.
I'm gonna go. I'm
seriously?
gonna go bring us around. All right.
Okay, don't look left yet.
Don't
Okay,
look left.
I won't
keep,
look left.
Keep looking to the right. Yeah, and then so I got slowly fired. They didn't fire me on the spot after it happened. They just stopped booking me.
Really?
And then I remember. Do you know Lee Camp?
No.
Okay, New York comic, kind of Kilsteiny.
Yeah.
He's like New Kilstein.
New Kilstein?
Yeah. So they.
I'm trying not to look at the falls because I want this reaction to be genuine when I first see it for the first time. So I'm looking down, kind of trying to get car sick, and that will be how we end this podcast. Is by no, we're not gonna end. We're going to my reaction will be the highlight, and then we'll get some facts from Evan about the falls.
Perfect.
Nice.
But get ready for a reaction. This is I don't know if this has ever been done on radio ever. Is someone's first time seeing Niagara Falls. Now I've wanted to see Niagara Falls when I lived in New York. I used to try to get people to drive up with me so I could see Niagara Falls. I'm not looking. But I used to try to get people to drive up so I could see Niagara Falls, and no one ever wanted to do it. I was like, we could take a train. It'll be a fucking blast.
Yeah,
So
it is really. I mean, it's.
is this mist right here that's coming up?
This is rain from the falls.
It's Mr.
yeah.
Rain. Yeah, he had it.
No wonder. No wonder all this is green. Everything's green around here because there's water just coming off of everything.
All right, you can look to your left.
I can.
Yeah.
I can't see anything.
It's just what a bad time.
I can't see anything. Wait, are we gonna park the car?
Yeah, we can go park if you want somewhere, and then.
Let's. Yeah, I want to see it. Wait.
Yeah, we'll walk out. We'll go
Wait.
park and walk out.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite fact about the falls is they actually cut the falls in half at night. They divert it into dams to save all the water up because this is where we get most of the hydroelectricity.
Really?
In Ontario and also America. We split the electricity in half, but it's half the amount of water that goes at night.
Really?
It was. You remember the big blackout in 2004, whatever, of the Northeast? I don't know if you maybe lived in New York at that time or if you're out in LA.
Oh, I can see the top of the falls right now.
I don't. We gotta figure out where we're gonna park this car.
There's 7
What's right
people
here?
who have gone over the falls and survived. Oh no, sorry. 7 people have gone over. 2 people have survived, and both times they were in actual wine barrels.
So wait, say that again. There's 7 people that have gone over the falls. There are people that have gone over the falls on accident, right?
Yeah. There's one story. I think it was in the early 90s. This guy took his boss's kids out on a boat, and they were all having a nice day on a boat, but they were up the river a bit, and they got pulled into the current, and they got pulled down, and the boat actually went over, and everybody died except for the one boy who had jumped out of the boat and had just gone over and he's so young and frail, I guess he was able to survive.
Wow, this is the river above the falls. So we drove past the falls. I didn't really see it.
Yeah,
so,
we'll go back
but
around.
this is the river. We could just drive on the other side. Maybe we can see it that way.
Yeah,
Just
okay,
head
we
back
can
the
do
other
that.
direction.
Cool. Yeah.
So we don't have to park. This is the river leading up to the falls. This is pretty fucking amazing.
Yeah, this is the dam right here that they, use.
Damn.
Yeah.
No, the dam's actually further down.
All right. Well, that's a big building.
It's a big building.
That's the original one.
Where did what side of the falls were Lois Lane and Clark Kent on in the movie Superman?
The falls have actually. How far have the falls moved, Evan?
21 miles. It's receded.
Yeah, the falls moved because it erodes, right? So.
Really?
Yeah.
In another 1,000 years or so, the American side of the falls won't even exist.
Oh well, yeah, we won't be here for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet America won't even be here for that. Right now, there's a bunch of people going, "Oh, come on, man, stand up for America."
Yeah. Don't do it in front of Canadians.
if we're here in 1,000 years, I love that everything's so lush around here because of the fucking mist that's got to be coming all over, all the time.
The mist that's coming all over everything.
Yeah, it's just they're getting bukkakied with mist.
In the winter, it's ridiculous because that mist freezes, right? So everything's just iced over.
Shut up.
It's so dangerous.
Really?
Yep.
I think it would look badass. Oh my god, I can see it going
Over?
Wait, do you hear it? Just kidding. I can see it going over. I can see it looking over. And I just saw a glimpse. We're going to see it. Here we go. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. I will be able to see the falls, at least this part of the falls, right when we pass these trees. I wonder if any ducks ever go over.
Well, they can fly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Ducks can fly.
But I wonder if a duck's just not paying attention.
Yeah,
like, just fucking...
He gets halfway down and is
Just
like, well,
playing
this is-
grab ass with another duck, and he's like... Oh, man.
honeymoon capital of the world.
Well, I wonder why.
Because there's a casino, and then you get to see the falls.
So that side over there, that's an actual island.
Oh, is that the American side?
That's the American side. So that's America. And there's an island that separates, like this is the Canadian Falls, and there's the American Falls, and that island separates it.
Where did John Daly try to hit a golf ball?
I don't know.
Into a
Is that an island right there? Is that the island right there that you're talking about?
Yeah, the one with
God,
the
this
little
is fucking
pavilion on it.
overwhelming. It's amazing when you see nature in fucking such grand scopes as this, like something so, like the Grand Canyon. I sat on the edge of the Grand Canyon, and it was straight down 4,000 feet. I have a great picture. I'll show it to you.
Yeah.
But I was just fucking overwhelmed. I was like, holy shit.
Was that special access, or did they let you?
Special access. The Wallapai tribe let us sleep on a burial ground,
Wow.
and then gave us access to go out and get on the edge, and it was just fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it was one of those things where you're just like, are you fucking kidding me? Here's what I love is that they, like the Hoover Dam, they've built a wall up so you can't see it. You can't just drive by and see it because I'm sure it would slow down traffic.
Yeah.
But like, I love that you can just drive by the fucking
Yeah, we don't have to pay $20 for parking. We can just
fucking
drive by this.
great.
And this is where Evan's sightseeing buses used to go.
Yep. Parking here,
Really?
drop everybody off.
Oh, that's buses only?
Yeah.
There's some old ladies here, but we'll get a good view. This is where you want to see it again.
Okay.
Yeah, you're gonna see the American Falls at this side, which is a lot smaller and underwhelming. But imagine seeing the falls from the American side and how shitty it would be.
Oh, wait, I don't understand why.
Look,
just have to
Holy
visit that.
shit.
The American side had to build that extra half bridge so they can actually see the falls.
Yeah, because you had to like walk out onto it.
Really? Oh my god.
'Cause
Oh
that's
my
where they
god.
filmed everything from. Was that? Remember when that guy tightrope walked this last year?
Oh my god. That's fucking insane.
And you
Holy
could just feel the
shit.
air be wet. Like,
Yeah. Tell me if you can hear it. Can you get out?
See down. Yeah. You have to.
Yeah, I'm hopping out. All right, I'm hopping out. I've got recorder in hand. I'm barefoot. Holy mother of God. Holy. Oh, that is absolutely overwhelming. I'm getting a picture. I'm barefoot. I'm sitting on by the falls. I don't know if you can see it. I'm gonna get. No, I'm fine. Thank you, though. I appreciate the offer. Let's see if I can get a panoramic. Oh, this is fucking out of this world. This is fucking outrageous. I know I should be smarter than to be able to say words like fucking outrageous, but it's just what comes to mind when you're a meathead. Let's see if we can take a picture. Let's see if we can take a panoramic. Let's see. Let's do it again. Sorry, I know I might have to edit some of this out. This is nice. This is a nice panoramic. I'm going to post this, and you're going to see it if you click on it. God dang, this is hot. I'm doing one more panoramic. I don't give a crap. Oh, nice. This is the money shot right here. Okay, one more of me. Let's see, I lost the car. I lost the boys. They'll be coming back around. I got the mic. Let's see. All right, perfect. This is absolutely awe-inspiring. If you get an opportunity, God, I want to go down where they're wearing the wetsuits. I want to take the boat. Let me tell you something. I'm coming back here and I'm bringing my family. There's no way you don't show children this. This is so overwhelming. The boat goes literally maybe about 50 yards from the falls. It looks like I could survive it. I got to be dead honest with you. I feel like I could survive it. It doesn't look that bad. But I want to go underneath. I want to go down. You can look down to the right. The Canadian side is so much better than the United States side. I would never go see this on the United States side. The boat literally goes down in the mist, and you got to see it from there. I'm definitely taking my kids here. This is a family trip. I don't care how touristy it is. This is 100% a family trip. This is something you do with your kids, and you go down and you put these slickers on, and you go down to where is like down underneath the falls where you're watching it come down, and you got to see it from that perspective. I mean, it looks awe-inspiring from here. But looking up at the falls, you always get a different perspective from the water. I'm looking for my ride to see where they are. This is absolutely fantastic. I'm so glad I did this. I'm so glad. This, Dear Comics, if there's ever a reason to do this comedy club, it's this. I'm barefoot. We are at the falls, and it is absolutely awe-inspiring. I'm coming. Just come back. Go do a loop. So they just drove by me in the car. They're trying to pick me up, but I could sit here for a little longer at Niagara Falls. I hope the sound on this is semi-good. I hope you're hearing the falls. I'm going to walk down a little bit. I wish I had put on shoes. I'm barefoot right now. This is so fucking awesome. Oh, man. And it just doesn't stop. That's the thing that really gives you, like, pause. It's like, it's not going to stop. There's no stopping this. This is eternity. This will happen forever, as long as we don't screw up the polar caps. I'm sure. I'm telling you, if I come here again, when I come here again with my family, I'm doing two things. I'm getting on one of these boats, and I don't care that there is what looks to be like a Titanic amount of people. All right, goodbye, Niagara Falls. What a fucking... Holy crap! That is amazing. Yeah. That is out of this world amazing. I am telling you right now, it gives you so much pause because you look at the magnitude of it, and you look at the idea that it's not stopping, it's not going anywhere, and it just is so. The American side sucks. We got really shafted in this whole fucking trade of land. Yeah, we'll take this side. You guys don't want to come over here. It gets cold.
The War of 1812. That was the one thing we got.
You guys won the War of 1812 and got Niagara Falls?
Yeah.
This is I don't give a shit about how bad the audio is. I'm posting this podcast. Yeah. This is so. I just pray to God. I'm going to send it to someone to clean up. But this is fucking overwhelming. I am telling you. Oh, that's the bridge you were talking about that they built.
Yeah. Oh, look, and there's sort of weird play going on over here.
Oh, is that what that is? Oh, yeah, it looks like it looks like the Canadian version of Alice in Wonder of the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. I hate when it is the Canadian version of Wizard of Oz. That guy's in a scarecrow outfit, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's an Indian.
No, that's native.
He's a native.
Yeah.
This is what the War of 1812 was.
Yeah. It's so I hate when embarrassing Canada stuff happens, like in front of kids. Like, we have so many things that we do that's supposed to be our heritage that just embarrasses us in front of Americans. It's the worst.
Oh, that is absolutely. I'm so glad we did that. Thank you, guys. Thank you for bringing me into this club. I'm telling you right now, if you're a comic listening to this, you got to fight to get into this club. Come in here, do Toronto.
Come see Niagara Falls.
Come see Niagara Falls. Head to Buffalo the next week. Take the family. I'm coming back. I'm coming back with my family. I'm gonna book Helium again, and I'm gonna do the exact same run, except I'm gonna have my kids meet me in my Niagara Falls. This is so freaking awesome.
Hold on, if this is the first time you're here and you really love the falls, like, should we take them down to the whirlpool and everything too?
No, we don't have time. Let's go eat buffalo wings.
All right.
I say so. Let's wrap this out. This has been an hour and 33 minutes. We ended on a great high point. What a fucking... wish I had known that it was going to be that awesome. I definitely would have planned a day here, but I would rather have buffalo wings, sadly, because I haven't eaten so that I could earn them. So now we're going to Buffalo. If you're listening to this, I've already played in Buffalo, so I hope you enjoy the shows. I hope nothing bad happened. I hope everyone had a good time in Toronto. This week, this saw me. I hope you didn't mind the audio in this podcast too bad. I just did it on my Zoom.
Yeah.
Just the fucking mic cords. Do you guys have anything we want to plug?
Yeah, actually.
So,
weirdly enough,
guys, I apologize. The person you've heard speak the most is Rob. And Evan had all the interesting facts. I should have done that at the beginning. Maybe I'll do that at the beginning. I'll put something up at the front. What do you want to plug, Rob?
I'm if you have Vancouver listeners, I'm assuming. So I'm headlining Laugh Lines Comedy Club in Vancouver, July 18th and 19th. So I guess I'll plug that.
Yeah.
Cool.
This will be up before then. I'm going to post this. I think I'm going to leapfrog this one and throw it up a little earlier.
Cool.
Evan?
I'm going cross country from Vancouver back to Toronto starting July 20th. And my Twitter is @EvanComedy.
Oh, yeah, and I'm at Rob Loves Arguing. Let's do that too, I guess.
Rob Loves Arguing?
Yeah.
At Rob Loves Arguing. At Evan Loves Comedy.
Oh, Evan Comedy.
Evan Comedy. Evan Loves Comedy.
He does love comedy.
And I have nothing to plug. I plugged it up front at the beginning of this. Thank you guys so much. It's been a fun fucking podcast. And the best part is this conversation is going to continue until we get to Buffalo. So maybe we'll do a second one. All right, thanks guys.
This episode was brought to you by The Machine.